Hello and welcome to the channel. We are the Hologrumps. I'm Liam.
And I'm Colum.
And we're here today to talk to you about the second episode of Star Trek Picard, titled Maps and Legends. This episode was directed by Hanel M. Culpepper. But before we start, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you like what you see here, because we will be covering every episode of Star Trek Picard the night it airs. And just a quick disclaimer for anyone out there will be spoilers. Okay.
So this opens with a cold open. We get a nice flashback to the Mars attack that happened previously, 14 years ago. We open to the Red Colony, where all the structures and the uniforms are red. Why is everything on Mars red? Does Starfleet want to drive their workers insane? So we see the synths being activated for work and being spoken down to by the engineer, as he says, "Good morning, plastic people." The android, F8, Effie, arrives for work, makes small talk with the workers, who are dressed in red. He's actually very good at small talk. He must have got that programming from Data.
Hell yeah.
During lunchtime, he lurks in the background, gets triggered, and kills the workers and deactivates the shields on the base.
Gets triggered.
Cue the 19 producers intro, which we all know and love.
And we see the sky dismantling to create Picard. So the world had to fall apart to bring Picard back. But anyway. So we are back at Chateau Picard, and Picard learns of the super secret Romulan organization, the Zat Vash.
The Zat Vash.
Shh, shh. The Zat Vash is a phrase referring to the dead, the best keepers of secrets.
Dead men tell no tales.
Picard and Laris go to Boston to scan Dahj's apartment. Laris uses a Romulan molecular reconstruction technique. Laris is extremely distracting for us just because we're Irish, but that's neither here nor there. I thought it was just ridiculous and stupid. The Zat Vash scrubbed every molecule in the room. But why is all the old stuff still there? I mean, if I incinerate my computer to burn all my evidence, I can't exactly go back later to access my college assignments. Laris then tells Picard that the Zat Vash have been operating all over the galaxy for thousands of years.
The cheeky feckers.
We find out that the Zat Vash hate synthetic life forms. Okay, if the Zat Vash are so powerful, covert, and can beam anywhere to infiltrate any empire, having supposedly spent over 1,000 years stomping out synthetic life, why did they resort to just sticking a bag over Dahj's head? Why didn't they have any weapons to capture her? Why didn't the Zat Vash ever try to destroy Data? Or what about all of Mudd's androids in the I, Mudd episode? And other synthetic life forms like holograms? But the Zat Vash have just sat around doing nothing until now. It's just part of the plot. Part of the plot. Laris finds Soji by checking Dahj's computer for auto logs from Soji. Soji is off-world. Picard is very shocked by this.
He's so surprised by the fact that someone could be communicating off-world, off-site.
As if there isn't a whole federation of planets that are easily accessible out there.
We then return to the Borg cube. Soji and Narek are having a stupid metaphorical conversation. Now, this is just a quote. I'll do my best Narek impersonation for you here. Beautiful. No one's ever said that before about a Borg cube.
This isn't a Borg cube, Narek. It's the artifact. A Borg cube is mighty and omnipotent. The artifact is lost, severed from the collective, broken.
It's so
yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful example of subtext, not dialogue. This is a wonderful example of dialogue that should never have been spoken. We learn Soji and Narek are sleeping together, obviously. We return to Shadow Picard, where Picard intends to woo the medical professional with tea and flowers. Picard meets Moritz Benayoun, doctor from the Stargazer. It's a good scene. The diagnosis feels a little bit rushed. They didn't talk in metaphors, though. Who does?
It was a very nice change to have two people actually having a conversation.
Who can act.
Like think of the episode 1, it's like, have you ever been a stranger to yourself? And it's like,
boo.
So nice to see people actually converse like human beings.
Picard wants a cert that says he's fit to be reinstated to Starfleet. Picard is obviously in excellent shape, except for one abnormality in the parietal lobe. It's possible it's Irumodic syndrome. Mood swings and vivid dreams are symptoms.
Or irritable bowel syndrome.
Ha ha!
No.
We learn Picard will die no matter what the diagnosis. Very nice reaction from Picard. This makes his resolve a little bit stronger. Now, again, the acting between Picard and Moritz was a highlight. It really makes me want to see more of these older characters. Or at the very least, people Picard actually knows himself.
Yeah, people that he's built up a chemistry with, which was really nice about these two actors working together, because obviously he wasn't somebody that we saw in The Next Generation, but they still had that chemistry, and that's what was lacking between Picard and Daj, for instance, the two actors. So they didn't even that changed my opinion that we needed the old cast members. We just need chemistry between the actors. So then Picard arrives at Starfleet, and there are loads of species seen.
Still no Klingons.
We hear TNG music as Picard enters the building, and we see a hologram of the Enterprise A, skipping on to the Enterprise D. The receptionist doesn't know who Picard is, and Picard is very offended by this, and he has a bit of a lovey moment. We meet Admiral Kirsten Clancy, who drops the first F-bomb in Star Trek. Oh,
I didn't care.
Yeah, it was like, oh. Then the bass and the music drops, and it's like, boom, boom, boom. And we get to, oh, look at Starfleet and Star Trek getting all dark. Isn't that great? Clancy is all sore at Picard for saying Starfleet did bad with the Romulans, and says he can't have a ship to find Maddox. Maddox, who is apparently breaking galactic treaty and making sense. Starfleet is clearly very concerned about upholding that particular law. She then tells Picard to go home. There's no place for him here, and he just leaves and says, okay, that's fine. So apparently Picard has no one at all in Starfleet he can talk to. Throughout his entire career, despite being one of the most famous people in all of Starfleet, nobody.
I mean, he could get his medical cert doctored, so he has some pull, but he obviously doesn't have enough pull to get on a ship. There are constantly ships leaving Earth, obviously. It's not that difficult. The amount of times you see weird people in Next Generation just happening to be on Picard's ship, they must have really cracked down since then. Anyway, we return to the Borg cube again, yawn, to meet a Trill who can't operate a zip. We see our first Kurtzman Romulans who look Romulan. We then see an exceptionally strange Romulan overseer who doesn't look Romulan, and it kind of negates the whole thing. There's a lot of lens flare and dark rooms. The Romulans are all reclaiming Borg parts. We shoot all the way back to Chateau Picard, where Jurati is reading Isaac Asimov, The Complete Robot. I think Picard must be brushing up on his cybernetics.
Yes, that would be why it's there.
Picard says he never cared for science fiction and he didn't get it. Then why are you the creative producer, Patrick Stewart? And why do you have that book out?
Just a little joke at the fans, I suppose.
At their expense, anyway.
Yeah.
Picard gives Jurati Earl Grey. That seems to be the most writers actually know about Jean-Luc Picard, is that he likes Earl Grey tea, because he seems to be throwing it at everyone.
Earl Grey, more Earl Grey decaf. Do you like Earl Grey tea? Earl Grey always hits the spot, Daj.
Yes, and Jurati takes it with milk. Now, I'm a tea lover, and Earl Grey with milk is blasphemy.
Yeah, it's a bit of an insult to the tea.
Tea Earl Grey, hot.
But she does, and she jumped straight for the Earl Grey, so she must be an Earl Grey drinker.
She must be a teetotaler. There's more exposition about Bruce Maddox being the mad scientist that he is. We learn Daj's entire childhood and education up to 3 years previous is a fiction, which I suppose surprises nobody. We end up flying all the way back to the Borg cube then. Soji is angry that the unknown Borg species are being called nameless, as opposed to what? Soji, designation 349, John Doe. Soji touches the Borg and speaks what we assume to be the language of the dead Borg, but it might be Romulan.
So then we go back to the Picard ranch. Picard takes out his old comm badge and contacts Raffi, someone from the comics, which I did read. Colin didn't. Most
No.
people I wouldn't say read the comics, but whatever. Then we go back to Starfleet Command because we're going back and forward like Sisyphus. And Admiral Clancy is Skyping Commodore O. That's not Commodore O. It's Commodore O, a Romulan or Vulcan Commodore. We're not sure. She talks kind of like a Romulan, but says things like, "You didn't capture the thing," whatever. O refers to Picard as the Hermit of Labar. Ooh, very, very savage takedown, O. Picard tells his Romulan servants that, well, Picard tells his Romulan companions that he has to go find Maddox. Picard won't go to Riker, LaForge, and Worf for help because, obviously, he got them killed more than once in All Good Things when he did. We meet Lieutenant Rizzo.
From Greece.
Yes, that's not Rizzo from Greece. It's Lieutenant Rizzo because the word Rizzo isn't going to stick that image into our heads. Then we get more exposition, blah, blah, blah. The villain scene is painfully too long. O, that's Commodore O, calls on her spy, Lieutenant Rizzo, to go out and keep an eye on things with her spy brother, Narek. Shock.
Oh.
Picard then arrives at Raffi's. Of course, Picard got a taxi there. He didn't teleport. Why not? We got more boring villain exposition, blah, 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 at the end.
One thing, before we end this synopsis, I suppose, part, the one thing I just remembered, why in the name of all that is sci-fi did Narek flinch when Rizzo went to touch his face?
Yeah, because he just walked through her a second ago, so there was no moment where he wasn't aware that she was a hologram.
Ridiculous.
I don't want to think about it. But anyway, so Colin, what did you think of Picard episode 2, Maps or something?
Well, yeah. The acting between all the cast members who weren't Picard was dull, bland, boring. I want my money back. Now, this Narek guy talks in the most bizarre way with metaphors. As a matter of fact, all the villains are so sinister and obvious in their evilness.
They just need like a little pencil mustache.
Yeah, just need something to twirl. Villain exposition can be good if the villains are remotely interesting as characters or actors.
Huge chunks of time in the Voyager 2-parter episode, of course, were spent with the villains. We had Anorax, who was actually interesting because...
Was that Year of Hell?
Year of Hell, yeah. We had the great Kurtwood Smith, which I could watch for hours on end on television or in films because he's just so good at being sinister and he just has a layer of depth to it. And to be honest, if they suddenly turned around and said, "Oh, Anorax is the villain the whole time and the Crenum Imperium has showed up with their ship to alter the universe and delete Kurtzman era Trek," I'd be very happy with that. They just, destroy the Romulan sun. It never existed. What about the exposition? Did you think it took away from Picard being the central character?
Was Picard the central character? I don't know. I couldn't tell. He was the cameraman watching all these scenes, and we spent more time with all these ancillary characters than we did with him. All these people who we didn't really need to see. We don't need to see that Commodore O is the bad guy. We should find that out much later on.
Yeah, layer the characters in naturally.
Like, don't introduce characters that Picard hasn't been introduced to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it ruins the mystery. I mean, the story isn't being told from Picard's point of view, and it's Star Trek Picard, so it should be. We should be discovering the world again through his eyes. Instead, we know more than he does.
But I do think there should be scenes with Soji because we need to know who we're rooting for him to save, I suppose.
Yes.
But we don't need those awkward close-ups of Soji and Narek talking to each other on pillows.
I wouldn't be surprised if Picard shows up in space and his ship gets crippled for Soji to show up and have a feeling or a lightning and run out into space and force her way through and save
run
Picard.
Out into space.
shoot her way into space and save Picard and deliver her straight to Maddox's doorstep, where he'll say, "It was all part of the plan. Soji would bring you to me, and we can build a new Data
together using law."
Yes.
Picard really does nothing in this. He's foiled at every turn. First, he's going to find Maddox. Then he changes his mind. He's going to find Soji. Then he changes his mind. He's going to find Maddox again. He keeps flip-flopping constantly. And I suppose maybe he's just angsty and he wants to get out of the space so he can actually do something with his life.
Look, it might come across that we're being very petty about the episode. At least I didn't like it. I know, Colin, did you enjoy the episode?
I actually enjoyed it insofar as I enjoyed the watching of it. I like just kind of watching an episode through and then giving myself time to think about it. But with the nature of these reviews, you don't really have time to stew on things. So we watch it twice through just to be sure, and we're very critical the second time.
Yeah, one clean view, then we get the second view where we take notes. But we've been burned too many times by CBS Trek, and every little mistake, you can't blame us for just seeing the faults and the problems in them, because it's very hard to give the show the benefit of the doubt, because we're still waiting on it. And don't get me wrong, this is nowhere near Star Trek Discovery level.
Oh no.
But it's
just not there.
It's just not there yet.
It's not where we want it to be. Far be it from us to be the judges of what Star Trek is, but we have an inclination. You don't have to be an art expert to know what good art looks like.
Like, we're not experts. Like, we're just here having a discussion. Everyone is welcome to leave comments, and we will do our best to answer them and discuss them. But we just have a feeling, and I think it's the same with a lot of people in the Star Trek community, that everyone has the same feeling of what Star Trek should be, and CBS just isn't matching it.
I know what I like.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to close out this video. If you like what you saw here, remember to subscribe to the channel, give us a like as well. Be sure to comment down below, because we do actually discuss and we try to reply to every comment as it comes along as well. So, from the Hologrumps, I've been Colin.
And I've been Liam.
Take care.